Dave Thomas, the affable and familiar face of Wendy's, created a fast food empire built on the simple promise of fresh, never-frozen beef. His journey from a humble background to becoming a household name is a classic American success story. Born in Atlantic City, New Jersey, Thomas was adopted as an infant and spent his early years moving around the country with his adoptive father. His restaurant career began in his teens, and he later worked with Colonel Harlan Sanders, operating several successful Kentucky Fried Chicken franchises. This experience provided him with the capital and the know-how to launch his own venture. In 1969, he opened the first Wendy's old-fashioned hamburgers in Columbus, Ohio, naming it after his fourth child, Melinda Lou, nicknamed Wendy. Thomas's true genius, however, emerged in 1989 when he became the company's television spokesman. His gentle, down-to-earth demeanor and over 800 commercials transformed him into a beloved public figure and made Wendy's a formidable competitor in the fast food wars. Beyond his business acumen, Thomas was a passionate advocate for adoption, founding the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption in 1992. After a successful kidney transplant in 1996, he faced a more serious health challenge. In early 2002, Dave Thomas succumbed to a carcinoid tumor, a type of neuroendocrine cancer he had been battling for over a decade. He passed away at his home in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on January 8, 2002, at the age of 69. His funeral was held in his adopted hometown of Columbus, Ohio. Dave Thomas was laid to rest in Union Cemetery, a historic and sprawling cemetery in Columbus. His grave is located in Section 78, within a family plot marked by a large, polished granite monument bearing the surname Thomas. His individual marker is a flat, modest bronze plaque, simply inscribed with his name and dates. The final resting place is dignified and understated, much like the public persona he cultivated, reflecting a man who, despite his immense success, never forgot his simple roots. Few figures in the history of fast food are as instantly recognizable as Colonel Harlan Sanders, the white-suited, goateed gentleman whose image is synonymous with Kentucky Fried Chicken. His path to international fame was a long and winding one, filled with a variety of jobs from steam engine stoker to tire salesman. His culinary career began in earnest during the Great Depression, when he started serving meals to travelers at his service station in Corbin, Kentucky. It was here that he perfected his secret recipe of 11 herbs and spices for frying chicken. He was given the honorary title of Kentucky Colonel in 1935 by the state's governor in recognition of his contribution to the state's cuisine. The real breakthrough, however, came when Sanders was in his 60s. With his Corbin restaurant facing ruin due to a new interstate highway, he took to the road to franchise his chicken recipe. The first official Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise was established in Salt Lake City, Utah, in 1952. Over the next 2 decades, his tireless promotion and iconic image helped build KFC into a global phenomenon. In his later years, the Colonel remained the living symbol of his brand, traveling hundreds of thousands of miles a year on behalf of the company. In June of 1980, he was diagnosed with acute leukemia. Harlan Sanders passed away from pneumonia on December 16, 1980, at the Jewish Hospital in Louisville, Kentucky. He was 90 years old. Following his death, his body lay in state in the rotunda of the Kentucky State Capitol in Frankfort, a testament to his status as a cultural icon. His funeral was attended by over 1,000 people. Colonel Sanders was interred in Cave Hill Cemetery in Louisville, a beautiful and historic garden cemetery that is also the final resting place of other notable figures like Muhammad Ali. The Colonel's grave is one of the most visited sites in the cemetery. It is marked by a large, stately granite headstone, but its most prominent feature is a bronze bust of Sanders, sculpted by his daughter, Margaret. The grave marker proudly displays his name as Colonel Harlan Sanders, forever cementing the identity he crafted. Maurice Mack McDonald, along with his younger brother Richard, was the quiet architect behind the revolutionary fast food production system that would eventually bear their family name across the globe. The brothers were born into a poor Irish immigrant family in New Hampshire and sought their fortune in California in the late 1920s. They worked menial jobs in Hollywood before opening a movie theater that ultimately failed during the Great Depression. In 1940, they opened their first venture, the McDonald's BBQ Drive-In in San Bernardino, California. While successful, the brothers grew tired of the typical drive-in's inefficiencies, including a large menu, car hops, and a rowdy clientele. In 1948, they made a radical decision. They closed their popular restaurant and reopened it a few months later with a completely redesigned concept. They streamlined the menu to just a few items: hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, shakes, and drinks, and eliminated waiters and car hops. Most importantly, they created the Speedy Service System, an assembly line method for preparing food that maximized speed, efficiency, and consistency. This was the true birth of the modern fast food restaurant. The San Bernardino restaurant became a local sensation, but the brothers were content with their modest success and had little interest in expanding. That changed when a milkshake machine salesman named Ray Kroc visited their operation in 1954 and saw its immense potential. While Kroc would be the one to franchise the concept and build the global empire, it was the McDonald brothers who laid the foundational principles. After selling the rights to their name to Kroc in 1961 for $2.7 million, the brothers retired from the fast food business. Maurice, the more introverted of the two, lived a quiet life away from the public eye. He passed away from heart failure in Palm Springs, California on December 11, 1971, at the age of 69. Maurice McDonald is buried in Desert Memorial Park in Cathedral City, California. His final resting place is marked by a simple, flat bronze plaque, flush with the lawn. The marker is unadorned and humble, giving no hint of the worldwide revolution he helped start. It speaks to a man who created a system of mass production, but desired a life of personal simplicity. Richard Dick McDonald was the more outgoing and marketing savvy of the two brothers who founded the restaurant that would become a global icon. Working alongside his brother Maurice, Richard was instrumental in developing the key concepts that defined the modern fast food industry. After their initial success with a barbecue drive-in, it was Richard who reportedly drew the first chalk outline of the new assembly line kitchen on a tennis court to choreograph the movements of their employees for maximum efficiency. He was also the creative force behind the restaurant's visual identity. He conceived of the Golden Arches, not as the M logo we know today, but as two giant yellow parabolic arches that would flank the physical building, making it eye-catching to passing motorists. He wanted a design that would scream McDonald's from a distance. This architectural feature, designed by architect Stanley Clark Meston, became one of the most recognizable brand symbols in the world. Like his brother, Richard was content with the single, highly profitable restaurant they owned in San Bernardino and was hesitant to expand. The brothers valued a simple life over the pressures of running a large corporation. After selling the company to Ray Kroc in 1961, a decision he later claimed to regret due to the way the company's history was subsequently portrayed, Richard returned to his home state of New Hampshire. He lived a comfortable and private life in a modest 3-bedroom home in Bedford, New Hampshire, far from the corporate empire he helped create. Richard outlived his brother by more than 2 decades, passing away from heart failure on July 14, 1998, in a nursing home in Manchester, New Hampshire. He was 89 years old. Richard McDonald is buried in his hometown at Mount Calvary Cemetery and Mausoleum in Manchester. His grave is marked by a simple, upright granite headstone, shared with his wife, Dorothy. The stone is traditional and unassuming, engraved with a cross and their names. Like his brother's grave, it offers no indication of his monumental contribution to global business and culture, serving as a final, quiet testament to the brothers' preference for a life outside the golden arches they created. Glenn Bell was the visionary entrepreneur who introduced Mexican-inspired food to the American fast food landscape, creating the behemoth brand Taco Bell. Born in Linwood, California, Bell's early life was shaped by the Great Depression. After serving in the U.S. Marine Corps during World War II, he returned to Southern California and opened a hot dog stand called Bell's Drive-In in San Bernardino in 1948. He noticed the long lines at a Mexican restaurant across the street, the Mitla Cafe, and became fascinated by their hard-shelled tacos. Bell spent time in the Mitla Cafe's kitchen, learning how they made their tacos, and began experimenting with his own version that could be produced quickly. He developed a pre-formed, deep-fried tortilla shell that could be filled with ingredients on demand, a key innovation for fast service. After selling his first stands, he opened 3 restaurants under the name Taco Tia between 1954 and 1955. He eventually sold these, and in 1962, opened the very first Taco Bell in Downey, California. With its mission-style architecture and clever marketing, the brand took off, and Bell began franchising his concept in 1964. Bell's simple but appealing menu of tacos, burritos, and other accessible takes on Mexican dishes resonated with American consumers. He grew Taco Bell into a thriving chain before selling his 868 restaurants to PepsiCo in 1978 for $125 million in stock. In his later years, Bell was involved in philanthropic efforts, particularly in his community of Rancho Santa Fe, California. Glenn Bell passed away from a heart attack at his home on January 16, 2010, at the age of 86. As a veteran of the Marine Corps, he was eligible for burial in a national cemetery. Glenn Bell was laid to rest at Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery in San Diego, California. The cemetery is situated on the Point Loma Peninsula, offering stunning views of the Pacific Ocean. Grave is marked by a standard issue, upright white marble headstone provided by the government for veterans. It is inscribed simply with his name, rank, service branch, and dates of birth and death. The uniformity of the military headstone stands in stark contrast to the vibrant, colorful branding of the empire he founded. A solemn tribute to his service to his country rather than his creation of Taco Tuesday. Frank Carney, along with his older brother Dan, famously turned a small loan from their mother into the world's largest pizza chain, Pizza Hut. Born and raised in Wichita, Kansas, Frank was a 19-year-old student at Wichita State University when the brothers decided to go into business together. In 1958, they saw an article in the Saturday Evening Post about the growing popularity of pizza. Intrigued, they borrowed $600 and rented a small, nondescript brick building on a busy intersection in their hometown. The sign on the building only had room for 8 letters, and since the building looked like a hut, the name Pizza Hut was born. The brothers focused on quality ingredients and creating a family-friendly dining experience, a departure from the dimly lit pizzerias common at the time. Frank, the more operations-focused of the two, dropped out of college to run the business full-time. Their concept was an immediate success, and they began franchising just a year later. Frank served as president and chairman of Pizza Hut as it grew into a global fast food giant. The Carney brothers sold Pizza Hut to PepsiCo in 1977 for over $300 million. Frank remained involved with the company for a few more years before moving on to a variety of other business ventures, including real estate, automotive, and other food franchises. In a famous marketing twist, he even became a franchisee of Papa John's Pizza in the 1990s, appearing in commercials that declared, "Sorry guys, I found a better pizza." In his later years, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. In 2020, he contracted COVID-19 but had reportedly recovered from the virus. Frank Carney passed away from pneumonia on December 2, 2020 in Wichita, at the age of 82. He was buried in Ascension Cemetery, a Catholic cemetery also in Wichita, Kansas, the city where his journey began. His gravesite is marked by a contemporary gray granite headstone, which he shares with his wife. The marker is elegant but simple, its polished surface reflecting the Kansas sky. It's a quiet final chapter for a man whose small hut in Wichita grew to have a presence in over 100 countries. Dan Carney was the elder of the two brothers who co-founded the global pizza empire, Pizza Hut. A native of Wichita, Kansas, Dan was the more business-minded and strategic of the duo. After serving in the U.S. Air Force, he earned a master's degree from Wichita State University. At the age of 26, he and his younger brother Frank saw a business opportunity in the burgeoning pizza craze. The $600 loan from their mother, they opened the first Pizza Hut in 1958 in a small brick building in their hometown. Dan's business education and Frank's hands-on operational drive proved to be a perfect combination. Dan was instrumental in developing the franchising model that allowed Pizza Hut to expand rapidly across the United States and, eventually, the world. He understood the importance of consistency in branding, ensuring that the Pizza Hut experience was reliable whether a customer was in Kansas or California. He served as the company's president as it grew from a single location into a major corporation. After the sale of Pizza Hut to PepsiCo in 1977, Dan Carney became a prominent venture capitalist and philanthropist in his native Wichita. He invested in a wide range of businesses and was deeply involved in community and educational initiatives, contributing significantly to Wichita State University. He remained a respected figure in the Kansas business community for the rest of his life. Dan Carney passed away from natural causes on January 25, 2019, at the age of 88. He died at a residential care facility in Wichita, surrounded by his family. Dan Carney is interred in the Old Mission Mausoleum, located within the Old Mission Cemetery in Wichita, Kansas. A mausoleum entombment offers a stately and enduring form of memorialization. His crypt is sealed with a marble or granite front, engraved with his name and dates. This type of resting place, inside a community building of remembrance, reflects the prominent and lasting impact he had on his hometown. Like his brother Frank, he remains forever in the city where their shared dream was born, a testament to the local roots of their global success. James "Jim" McLemore was one of the two key figures behind the creation of Burger King, the brand that would become McDonald's chief rival in the global fast food arena. Born in New York City, McLemore's life took a formative turn when he attended Cornell University's prestigious School of Hotel Administration. After graduating and serving in the Navy, he moved to Florida to pursue his entrepreneurial ambitions. In 1954, McLemore and his Cornell classmate David Edgerton decided to open their own burger restaurant in Miami. They had been inspired by the success of the McDonald Brothers operation in California. Their initial venture was called Insta Burger King, based on a franchise that used a special oven called an Insta Broiler. When the original company faltered, McLemore and Edgerton took over, streamlined the business, and renamed it simply Burger King. McLemore's key contribution was the creation of the Whopper sandwich in 1957. He conceived of it as a larger, more adult burger to specifically target customers who felt other fast food burgers were too small. The Whopper became Burger King's signature product and the cornerstone of its marketing for decades. McLemore served as Burger King's chairman and CEO for many years, overseeing its growth from a local Miami chain to a national powerhouse. He was known for his steady leadership and his focus on franchising as the primary model for expansion. The company was sold to the Pillsbury Company in 1967, and McLemore continued to lead the brand for another 5 years. In his later life, he was a prominent community leader and philanthropist in the Miami area, serving as the chairman of the Board of Trustees for the University of Miami. After years of battling lung cancer, James McLemore passed away from the disease on August 8, 1996, in Coral Gables, Florida. He was 70 years old. His final resting place is not a traditional grave, but a niche in a columbarium. He is interred at the St. Andrew's Episcopal Church Columbarium in Coral Gables. A columbarium is a wall or room with niches designed to hold cremation urns. His niche is marked with a simple plaque bearing his name and dates. This choice of a quiet, contemplative space within a church reflects a man who, after building a global brand, found peace and purpose within his local community. David Edgerton was the co-founder of Burger King and the technical mind behind the company's early success. While his partner James McLemore focused on the business and marketing aspects, Edgerton was the operations expert who developed the crucial technology that set Burger King apart. Born in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, Edgerton's family moved to Florida during his childhood. He served in the Army before earning a degree from the Cornell University School of Hotel Administration, where he met his future business partner. After graduating, he managed restaurants for Howard Johnson's before deciding to strike out on his own. In 1954, he and McLemore founded Insta Burger King in Miami. Edgerton quickly grew frustrated with the original Insta Broiler ovens, which were prone to breaking down. Drawing on his engineering-oriented mind, he developed his own improved cooking device, the Flame Broiler. This continuous chain broiler cooked burgers over an open flame, giving them a distinct charred flavor that became Burger King's signature. This innovation was not just about taste. It was a more reliable and efficient cooking system that allowed for rapid production, a cornerstone of the fast food model. The Flame Broiler was Edgerton's masterstroke, giving Burger King a unique product to differentiate itself from the griddle-fried patties of its main competitor, McDonald's. He and McLemore built the company into a national chain before selling it to Pillsbury in 1967. After leaving Burger King, Edgerton operated his own steakhouse chain in Florida for a number of years, demonstrating his lifelong passion for the restaurant industry. He was known as a hands-on manager who cared deeply about the mechanics of a well-run kitchen. David Edgerton passed away on April 3, 2018, following complications from a fall that required surgery. He was 90 years old. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Edgerton did not have a traditional burial or a single gravesite. According to his family, he was cremated, and his ashes were scattered in various places that held special meaning for him throughout his life. This means there is no single plot of land or marker to visit. His final memorial is the legacy of the flame-broiled taste he introduced to the world and the enduring empire he helped build. A legacy that is not contained in one place, but is present in thousands of restaurants around the globe. William Rosenberg was the man who made coffee and donuts an essential part of the American morning routine, founding the company that would become Dunkin' Donuts. Born in Boston, Massachusetts, to German Jewish immigrants, Rosenberg had a difficult childhood marked by poverty, forcing him to drop out of school in the 8th grade to help support his family. He took on a variety of jobs, but his entrepreneurial spirit shone through when he started a company called Industrial Luncheon Services in 1946. Using repurposed telephone company trucks, he delivered meals, coffee, and snacks to factory workers on the outskirts of Boston. He quickly noticed that coffee and donuts were his two best-selling items, accounting for 40% of his business. This realization sparked an idea. In 1948, he opened his first coffee and donut shop in Quincy, Massachusetts, called the Open Kettle. 2 years later, after brainstorming with his executives, he renamed it Dunkin' Donuts, focusing on offering a wide variety of donut types and high-quality coffee. He began franchising the concept in 1955. Rosenberg's vision was to create a place where people could get a consistent, affordable, and quick breakfast. He standardized recipes and operations, ensuring that a Dunkin' Donuts in one town was just like another. He also founded the International Franchise Association in 1960, helping to legitimize franchising as a business model. He was a passionate entrepreneur who believed in giving others the opportunity to own their own business. In his later years, Rosenberg became a noted philanthropist, particularly after being diagnosed with cancer. He established the William Rosenberg Chair in Medicine at Harvard Medical School. He was also a passionate breeder of standard-bred horses. William Rosenberg passed away from bladder cancer at his home in Mashpee, Massachusetts, on September 20, 2002. He was 86 years old. He is interred in a large private family mausoleum at Sharon Memorial Park in Sharon, Massachusetts. The impressive structure, built from light-colored stone, is a grand and lasting monument. It stands as a testament to the immense success he built from a simple observation about what working people wanted most: a good cup of coffee and a fresh donut. Thomas Stephen Monaghan, the visionary founder of Domino's Pizza, transformed a single small pizza store in Ypsilanti, Michigan, into the world's largest pizza delivery chain. Born in Ann Arbor in 1937, Monaghan faced hardships early in life, losing his father at age 4 and spending much of his youth in orphanages. In 1960, he and his brother James purchased a struggling pizzeria called Dominic's. When James soon sold his share, Tom pressed forward alone, renaming the business Domino's and introducing the 30-minute delivery guarantee that would make the chain a household name. By the 1990s, Domino's had thousands of stores worldwide. Later in life, Monaghan sold most of his stake in Domino's and turned his focus to philanthropy, particularly Catholic causes, founding Ave Maria University in Florida. His faith remained central to his life until his passing. Thomas S. Monaghan died in 2024 at the age of 87. He was laid to rest in Ann Arbor, Michigan, not far from the city where his pizza empire began. His grave is located in a Catholic cemetery, marked by a polished granite headstone featuring both his name and the Domino's logo, placed discreetly in the corner. It is a modest but fitting tribute to a man whose small-town pizza shop reshaped American fast food and whose faith defined his final years. John H. Schnatter Sr., though not a household name, played a crucial role in the origins of Papa John's Pizza. Born in 1914, he became co-owner of Mick's Lounge, a tavern in Jeffersonville, Indiana. It was here, in a converted broom closet, that his son, John Papa John Schnatter, baked the first Papa John's pizzas in 1984. Without his father's business as the launching pad, the chain that would grow into thousands of locations worldwide may never have existed. Schnatter Sr. lived much of his life out of the spotlight, a supportive figure behind the scenes rather than a public businessman. He passed away in 1993, at the age of 79. His death came just as Papa John's was beginning its meteoric rise, expanding far beyond its Indiana roots. He was laid to rest in Floydsburg Cemetery, Crestwood, Kentucky, a peaceful burial ground surrounded by rolling hills. His grave is marked by a simple upright headstone, carved with his name, birth and death years, and a Christian cross. There is no mention of pizza or the empire his family would go on to build, reflecting a life rooted in humility rather than corporate fame. For those who visit, his resting place is a quiet reminder that behind every global brand lies a family story, often beginning in the most ordinary of places. Leroy Raffel, alongside his older brother Forrest, carved out a unique niche in the fast food landscape by betting that Americans were hungry for something other than burgers. They were the founders of Arby's, the chain that introduced the roast beef sandwich to the quick service industry. Born in Youngstown, Ohio, Leroy Raffel was a graduate of the Cornell University School of Hotel and Restaurant Administration. In the 1950s and early 1960s, the brothers owned a successful restaurant equipment company, giving them an insider's view of the food service business. They saw the explosive growth of hamburger-focused chains like McDonald's and decided there was an opportunity for a more upscale fast food experience. They envisioned a restaurant that served a higher quality product, specifically slow-roasted beef sandwiches, in a slightly more refined setting than the typical burger stand. They planned to call their new venture RB for Raffel Brothers, which evolved into the name Arby's. On July 23, 1964, they opened the first Arby's in Boardman, Ohio, a suburb of Youngstown. The restaurant, with its distinctive Chuck Wagon-inspired Conestoga wagon design, sold roast beef sandwiches for 69 cents, along with potato cakes and iced tea. The concept was a hit, appealing to adults who wanted a quick meal that wasn't a hamburger. Leroy served as the company's chief executive officer, guiding its growth and franchising efforts. The brothers built Arby's into a major national chain with hundreds of locations before selling the company in 1976. Leroy remained a respected figure in the restaurant industry and later moved to South Florida. He lived a long life, witnessing the brand he co-created become a fixture in American culture. Leroy Raffel passed away on March 21, 2023 in Miami, Florida, at the remarkable age of 96. He is buried at Mount Sinai Memorial Park Cemetery in Miami. His grave is marked with a modern, simple headstone, consistent with the style of the cemetery. His final resting place is shared with other members of his family, a tribute to the partnership that started it all. Brother and co-founder of the Arby's restaurant chain, he was the quintessential entrepreneur, a man with a knack for business and an eye for opportunity. A native of Youngstown, Ohio, Forrest was a veteran of the United States Army Air Forces during World War II. After the war, he entered the business world, eventually partnering with his younger brother Leroy to form a successful restaurant equipment company. This venture gave them a front-row seat to the fast food revolution that was sweeping the nation in the post-war era. While the market was becoming saturated with burger joints, Forrest and Leroy saw an opening for a different kind of fast food offering. Forrest, known for his sharp business acumen, helped conceptualize a chain that would feel a cut above the competition, serving freshly sliced roast beef sandwiches in a setting that was quick and convenient, but also a bit more comfortable and mature. Forrest was the dealmaker and the strategist of the Raffel Brothers partnership. While Leroy focused on the operational side of the business, Forrest handled the real estate and financial aspects of their growing empire. Together, they opened the first Arby's in 1964, and under their leadership, the chain expanded rapidly. The brothers' complementary skills were key to their success. They cultivated a brand that stood for quality, famously using the slogan, "America's roast beef, yes sir," to cement their unique position in the market. After selling the company to Royal Crown Cola Company in 1976, Forrest moved to South Florida, where he remained active in business and enjoyed his retirement. Forrest Raffel passed away on September 18, 2008 in Miami, Florida, at the age of 86. He is buried in the same cemetery as his brother, Mount Sinai Memorial Park in Miami. Their shared final resting place symbolizes their lifelong bond and business partnership. His grave is marked by a simple headstone, a modest memorial for a man who, along with his brother, successfully challenged the burger's dominance and added a new staple to America's fast food menu. Carl Karcher's story is a quintessential American narrative of building an empire from the ground up, starting with almost nothing. The founder of the Carl's Jr. restaurant chain, Karcher began his journey as the son of poor farmers in Ohio. He dropped out of school after the 8th grade to work on the family farm, but with limited opportunities, He moved to Anaheim, California in 1937. He started as a bread wrapper at a bakery, and in 1941, he and his wife, Margaret, took a leap of faith. They borrowed $311 against their Plymouth automobile and used the money, along with $15 in savings, to purchase a single hot dog cart. They set up their cart in Los Angeles and found immediate success selling hot dogs, chili dogs, and tamales. Over the next few years, they expanded to 4 hot dog carts. In 1945, they moved back to Anaheim and opened their first full-service restaurant, Carl's Drive-In Barbecue. It was at this restaurant that Karcher introduced hamburgers to his menu. In the 1950s, inspired by the success of McDonald's, he decided to open smaller, more streamlined restaurants focusing on hamburgers. He named these new locations Carl's Jr., as they were smaller versions of his original drive-in. He focused on quality, with charbroiled burgers and quick, friendly service. Karcher, a devout Catholic and a staunch conservative, infused his company with his personal values. He was known to recite the Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer at the beginning of company meetings. He grew the chain into a Western United States institution. Despite being ousted as chairman of the company in a dramatic boardroom battle in 1993, he was later reinstated as chairman emeritus. Carl Karcher died on January 11, 2008, from complications of Parkinson's disease, just a few days before his 91st birthday. He passed away in Fullerton, California. He's buried at Holy Sepulchre Cemetery in Orange, California. His grave is marked by a large, upright granite headstone, which he shares with his wife. The monument features an etched portrait of the couple and is adorned with religious symbols, a fitting tribute to a man whose faith was as central to his life as the burger empire he built from a single hot dog cart. Wilbur Hardy was the man who gave his name to the Hardee's restaurant chain, but his story is a cautionary tale about an entrepreneur who lost control of his creation early on. Born and raised on a farm in Martin County, North Carolina, Hardee was a veteran of the U.S. Navy. After his service, he worked as a grill cook and musician before deciding to open his own restaurant. On September 3, 1960, he opened the first Hardee's Drive-In in Greenville, North Carolina. The restaurant was an instant success, thanks to its 15-cent charbroiled hamburgers, milkshakes, and French fries. Hardee's unique method involved cooking the burgers over charcoal rocks, which gave them a distinctive flavor that customers loved. The Greenville location was so popular that traffic backed up for blocks. Seeing the potential for expansion, Hardee met with 2 local businessmen, Leonard Rawls and Jim Gardner, to discuss franchising. Just a few months after opening his first restaurant in 1961, Hardee entered into a business partnership with Rawls and Gardner. The details of what happened next have been debated, but the outcome is clear. In a series of business dealings, including a legendary late-night card game where Hardee reportedly lost his controlling stake, he was effectively pushed out of the company that bore his name. He sold his remaining shares to his partners for $37,000 in 1963. While Rawls and Gardner went on to build Hardee's into a national chain with thousands of locations, Wilbur Hardee faded into relative obscurity. He opened a series of other, less successful restaurants under different names like Little Mint and Wilbur's. He spent the rest of his life in North Carolina, a local figure known for creating a famous brand but not for profiting from it. Wilbur Hardee passed away on June 20, 2008, in Greenville, North Carolina, the same city where his story began. He was 89 years old. He's buried in the Red Oak Cemetery in the small community of Red Oak, North Carolina. His grave is marked by a simple, flat granite stone shared with his wife. It bears no mention of the restaurant empire his name is on, a quiet final resting place for the man who started it all but was left behind. Herman Cain's career was a powerful American story that transcended the world of fast food, taking him to the heights of business and national politics. While he did not found a chain, he is famous for his role as the CEO who rescued Godfather's Pizza from the brink of collapse. Born in Memphis, Tennessee, and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, Cain's parents were hard-working people who instilled in him a powerful drive to succeed. He earned a degree in mathematics from Morehouse College and a master's degree in computer science from Purdue University. He began his career as a ballistics analyst for the U.S. Navy before moving into the corporate world, working for Coca-Cola and Pillsbury. It was at Pillsbury that he was given his biggest challenge and greatest opportunity. In the mid-1980s, Pillsbury, which owned Burger King at the time, tasked Cain with turning around its struggling pizza chain, Godfather's Pizza. The chain was failing, with hundreds of locations closing. Within 14 months, Cain's sharp leadership and focus on fundamentals had returned the company to profitability. In 1988, he led a leveraged buyout, purchasing the chain from Pillsbury and becoming its CEO. Cain became a prominent voice in the business community and served as the CEO of the National Restaurant Association in the late 1990s, where he became a powerful lobbyist in Washington, D.C. This experience whetted his appetite for politics. He launched a campaign for the Republican presidential nomination in 2011, where his 999 tax plan and charismatic personality briefly made him a frontrunner. Though his campaign ultimately ended, he remained a popular conservative commentator and media personality. In the summer of 2020, amid the global COVID-19 pandemic, Herman Cain contracted the virus. After a month-long battle with the illness, he passed away from complications on July 30th, 2020 in Atlanta, Georgia. He was 74 years old. Herman Cain is buried in the historic Westview Cemetery in Atlanta. Westview is one of the largest and oldest cemeteries in the Southeast, and a significant resting place for many prominent members of Atlanta's African-American community. His grave is marked by a substantial and distinctive monument made of dark, polished granite. The large headstone features an etched portrait of a smiling Cain and is inscribed with the words, "An American Patriot," a testament to the public life he led as a businessman, leader, and political figure.